Didn't we?
Fishing with Orlando Wilson is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, America's best-selling line of trucks. When you need a truck you can lean on, nothing works like a Chevy truck. Zebco Quantum Motor Guide, the choice of serious fishermen. Red Man Chewing Tobacco. The Red Man reaction is satisfaction. The world's most advanced fishing lines, ultra-sensitive prime and tough strand from DuPont. Orlando and his son Gene are fishing a South Georgia farm pond, much like any of the millions of farm ponds across the country. Today they're fishing for one of America's most popular table fish, catfish. There are three main species of catfish: channel cat, blue cat, and flathead, sometimes called mud or yellow cat. They can be found in most freshwater systems east of the Rockies and from Canada to Central America. But catfishing is the great southern sport and pastime. And it can only be properly done in a leisurely fashion, whether from the banks of a slow-moving stream with cane pole and a bucket of worms, or, as Orlando and Gene are doing, comfortably seated in a modern boat with bait casting equipment and the latest in cat-catching lures. Blues and flatheads are the larger of the species, occasionally reaching 100 pounds or more. Catfish spend their lives near the bottom, moving up from their deep holes only in search of a meal. In warm weather, catfish usually feed at night. But as you'll soon see, with a proper bait, they can be coaxed into biting during the day. Catfish have an amazing tolerance for bunk and silt, using their well-developed sense of smell as much as their eyes to locate prey. Their favorite foods include insect larvae, minnows, worms, grasshoppers, and crawfish. In a moment, Orlando continues an old southern tradition between father and son, passing along the techniques of catfishing on a hot, lazy summer afternoon.
Son, what we're going to do, we're going to start with this cat catcher, and I'm going to give you the original formula, and I'm going to insert it right in this little crawdad looking bait, and I'm going to squeeze. And what we're doing, Gene, we've taken this little artificial lure that has slits made in it, and we're putting this paste that's made by a little stinker called cat catcher. We're inserting the paste inside the lure. Now, when the catfish bite this lure, it's soft plastic, and this paste, which tastes like food that they feed on, squeezes out, and they taste it, and they go ahead and take the bait and swim off with it. When they do, the hook is made into the lure. You can see it here, and it's made weedless. So when they clamp down on it and you pull, of course, you set the hook in their mouth. And hopefully we're going to catch a lot of them. Okay. Now, you start with that original formula with the brown crawdad, and I'm going to start with a clear color crawdad, and I'm going to try their new product that's a shrimp formula.
What do catfish eat?
Depending on the forage base they have available, you know, they feed on anything, minnows and crawfish, grasshoppers, just anything really that's edible a catfish will eat. Catfishermen would be the first people to tell you, you know, that sometimes catfish can be just as picky as bass can be. You know, they don't always want the same thing. So these baits we're using, these paste baits that we're inserting in these artificial lures, some of them are blood flavor, you know, like a lot of people use chicken livers and different things for bait. They've got a shrimp formula that tastes like shrimp. They've got, of course, the old original formula that we've used before. And then, of course, they got a cheese formula. And at different days, you know, catfish, just like bass, prefer different flavors of bait. They don't always feed on the same thing. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. All ready to go.
Let's make a cast here.
Will you feel it when they hit the bait?
Oh, yeah. Well, you'll see it, too, if you keep your line tight. Just let her go out there and sit on the bottom, Gene. Now, when your line's on the water, just kind of keep your line halfway straight so you can tell when you get a bite. See, I got one bump mine then.
Can you tell by the line if they bump it?
Yeah, you can feel him bump it. You can see your line start to move. There he is. Spoon. Oh, yeah, look at this one, son. They don't want to give up too easily, do they?
Nope.
Oh, will you quit wetting me, Catfish? Stay still just a minute. Let me get... Ah, come on now. Gotcha.
How big is he?
I don't know, Gene. That fish will probably weigh 5 or 6 pounds. That will make some good catfish steaks there, won't it?
Can you get the hook out?
Yeah, I just got him hooked in the lip there, but I got him hooked right in that little tough part there.
He's a big one.
Yep. Now, you know, we were talking a few minutes ago about catfish, and if I can get a hold of this one the right way where he can't fin me, that's a blue cat. Now, you got to be careful when you handle them. So these dorsal fin is very sharp and pointed, and so are his pectoral fins on the side. And, but, you know, we were talking earlier about how the catfish senses. Now, he feeds 2 ways. He feeds by sight, but he also feeds by smell, and that's probably the way he feeds the most, by smell. He can detect just any kind of trace of food in the water, and he can start zeroing in on it. And as he gets close to it, close enough, he feels the food with these barbels, and that's where his smell senses are located, in these barbels.
I wondered what those whiskers was for. Daddy? I've got one, Daddy. Boy, he's mad at me.
Don't let him get around the motor now. You want me to hook you out?
I guess I could use some help on this.
Don't let him get around the motor. Get on the other side of the boat.
Barely hooked him. Go!
Now, don't let him break your line now. He can break your line, son.
What pound is on here? God. Monster.
All right, just let him, all right, keep your line away and go back around this side of the boat. That's the way he's going. All right, let it see, he's going back around this way. Swing your line over the propeller, over the back of the motor. There you are.
Man.
Keep a good close check on it. Okay, bring him up here and let's get him. Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? Wait a minute now, just lift him up with your rod tip. He ain't about to give up, is he?
Nope.
Whoa, buddy.
Now, where's these little sharp things that...
This little thing here.
Man.
See how you had him hooked?
Mm-hmm.
You had him right in the, darn near, in the whisker. There you are, son. That's a nice one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you got to be careful when you handle these catfish. Now, you see these little fins here? They're real sharp. So, what we're using a bait, a fish holder to hold him with. That way, you know, you don't get the slime and stuff on you. You don't have the danger of sticking you with those fins. You want to keep him, you want to turn him back?
Let's let him back.
Let him back. We'll catch something to eat in a few minutes, all right?
Okay.
Whew. Way to go, buddy, the first fish. Let's see, you were using that shrimp formula, weren't you?
No, the original.
No, you were using the shrimp. I had the original.
Well, I was using the white.
He dulled that hook a little bit. Let's just put another little edge on those hooks while we got the thing loose. All right, now I got the hooks good and sharp. See, the good thing about this lure is it's reusable. So you didn't tear your lure up. So we'll just,
I was just fixing to ask
we'll just insert the hook right back in the lure like that, and you're ready to go again. All we got to do is squeeze a little more cat catcher in him, and you'll be ready. There you are.
Okay.
Get you another one.
I'll try.
I think something had touched this one. I got him.
I guess so.
We done got in the right spot here. Oh, that's a pretty good fish. That's a good 3-pound catfish there, son. They are eating this bait up. Now this, I'm using the shrimp formula. You're using the original, right?
Mm-hmm.
They may be hitting this shrimp formula a little better. You got another one?
Yeah.
Daggone, I can't get ahead of you, can I?
No. Oh, he's a small
Don't
one.
get him in too quick.
He's trying to swim off with me.
All right. Bring it over here. Way to go, buddy.
Do you have any certain place you gotta put that claw around him?
Yeah, you want to try to use this fish grabber right in front of his dorsal fin, but behind his front two fin. There you are, son.
Boy,
Well, that's just the right size
Right.
for eating there, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, we'll have fish tonight. Now, the way we're rigging these things, we're using a bell sinker that's rigged to slide up and down the line. And, of course, to make it simpler, I've just put a split shot on the line there to prevent the slip sinker from going down all the way on the hook, because we want our bait to be back here pretty much free. And the sinker, of course, will keep the bait stationary where you can keep a semi-tight line. Now, it's not going to be like bass fishing where you throw out there, you know, and you crank and reel. We're going to throw the baits out there and let them sit. And then this paste and things in the bait will let out their scent and juices, and the catfish will find it. They'll sense it and smell it and find it, and they'll come and take your bait. And so you just try to keep your line as tight as possible when you're fishing him. When you get one that picks it up, give him just a second to swallow the bait and then set the hook real hard.
Will you feel it when they hit the bait?
Oh, yeah. Well, you'll see it, too, if you keep your line tight.
What pound test line is on these rods?
Well, I think you just got 10-pound test. That's the reason you need to be careful when you're playing the fish, son.
That's pretty strong line, isn't it?
Yeah, now these rods I've got 17-pound test on here in case we get a big one. I've got your drag set up to where you can handle a fish on that 10-pound test line.
Okay. How hard do I set the hook?
Just as hard as you can.
I've got one. Man.
Oh, I didn't even get a chance to put my reel in here, son. That's a pretty good catfish there. Gene, what do you think more people fish for than anything else?
Bass?
Well, bass and brim and crappie run first place, but real close to that is catfish, and catfish is gaining popularity. So we have as many people, nearly as many people fish for catfish as for bass and brim and crappie. Panfish, I guess, is number one, but it's followed real close by bass fishermen and then catfishermen.
You don't really hear much about catfish as much as you do about bass.
Yeah, you can find catfish just about everywhere. They're very widely spread. And, you know, you have several different species of catfish. You got the most widely spread species are the blue catfish, the channel cat, and the yellow cat, which some people call the flathead catfish. You got a head pretty much like a shovel. But the blue cat and the channel cat have a forked tail. And both of them have kind of a bluish gray colored back. Now the channel cat will have kind of yellowish looking splotches on them. But the blue cat will have a blue back, a bluish gray back that just fades into a silvery white and white belly. And that's the most widely distributed and the most sought after of the catfish. Now the blue cat gets the biggest. The blue cat can get over 100 pounds. And the channel cat can get up, 80 to 100 pounds. And the flathead can get big also. But most of your big catfish are going to come out of the deeper water. That's one element that catfish really need. They need, especially when they get to be big. They want deep water. Perfect places, like in man-made reservoirs or in rivers, is where the old current has washed, you know, like on an outside creek bend, where the current has washed away and left a big cut back under the bank. They get up under there in the shade and hide. I want one of those big ones to grab mine.
Well, I do too.
There he is.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Bad news.
That's a pretty good catfish there.
How big is he?
No, he's a couple of 3 pounds. Tell you what, those fish grippers are dandy. Holding those things, you don't get finned. There we go. Load up with bait again. I bet I can get one on before you can.
Bet you can't, because I just had a bite.
Uh-oh. Good one?
I think so.
Don't reel him up too close. Oh, yeah. You want me to help you?
No, he's not a very big one.
Pretty big. Pretty big. Uh-oh. Make sure I left my reel in free spool. Something was take off with that thing.
We can't afford to leave that reel out of gear.
Nope.
Take off.
There you are. Whoa.
Boy, he didn't waste no time. Think I need some more cat catcher on there?
Yep. Sure do. You know, a lot of private lakes like this one, son, they really take care of the catfish. They feed them and let them grow to the right size, and then they'll open things up for public fishing. And you can bring a kid or something out here and just absolutely have a ball in a day's fishing. Cane poles, fishing from the bank, it don't make any difference. That's maybe the good thing about catfishing. You know, you can do it from the shore, you can do it from a boat, you can do it just any way you want to do it. Just do it. Now, we're catching them up on a shallow shoreline. I think the secret here is, I think they feed these catfish right through this area here, right in the corner of the lake. So I think the catfish just hang pretty close to this area. And when they come out and feed them in the afternoons or whenever they feed them, the catfish stay close enough where they can just move in. On through the day, when they're not feeding, they might just filter out and just feed on whatever natural kind of bait they have. But a lot of these lakes where they feed them, they can really get to be big catfish. But a lot of the guys I know really do a lot of catfishing now. What they do, it really, catfishing and crappie fishing and just any kind of fishing is really good for just about, for the bass species especially, because it takes some of the pressure off of bass. But I think these guys that are out catfishing and crappie fishing and brim fishing are finding more and more that it's just as enjoyable to catch those as it is bass in many instances. I got a lot of buddies that catch, I'm talking really, really giant catfish, and they catch them on deep water structure, the same structure that you'd catch bass on. They'll find drop-offs in reservoirs that drop off into a river channel where they might have a ledge and 20 foot or less of water, and the catfish will stay close to that river channel but move up on that ledge and feed. And you gear up to catch them pretty much the same way that we're catching them here. But if you're really going to fish for big catfish, I think you might want to use a wire leader from your lure up about 18 inches to your sinker. That catfish can twist and turn and wrap the line around him so many times that he can eventually just wear and fray the monofilament just into shreds. So a wire leader might be a smart thing to use if you were seriously wanting to catch, you know, big giant catfish.
Yeah. Got one?
Yeah, boy. I set the hook just as instant he touched it. Instead of letting him have a second, and he still got that bait down in there. Gawa. He swallowed that one.
I landed one right on top of his head. How can he miss it?
I think we got enough to eat, son. Let's turn that one loose. Tell you what, I had to cut my hook off in that one.
What do you do when you lose a hook on one of these things?
Well, you know, the chemistry of a fish will dissolve a hook, as long as it's not a stainless steel hook, will dissolve a hook in about 3 days. So he'll just get rid of it. It's always better to cut a hook off and leave it in than it is to, you know, try to get it out if it's lodged way down in his throat, because the fish will just dissolve the hook and get rid of it in just 2 or 3 days. Whereby if you try to reach down and dislodge the hook, you know, you can tear the meat up and that doesn't heal as readily. So if you're not going to keep them, it's better, like swallow the hook, just to cut it off and leave it. Well, Gene, I tell you, we've had some kind of good day. We've caught a lot of catfish. I don't know, I lost count of how many we caught, but we've caught a bunch of them. I guess you're about ready to go and get out of the sun, aren't you?
Do we have to go now? Are you sure we have to go? Can't we stay maybe 30 minutes longer?
All right, give you a few more minutes.
Okay. I like this place.
Wanna go fishing with Orlando.
Fishing with Orlando Wilson has been brought to you by Chevy Trucks, America's best-selling line of trucks. When you need a truck you can lean on, nothing works like a Chevy truck. Zebco Quantum Motor Guide, the choice of serious fishermen. Red Man Chewing Tobacco. The Red Man reaction is satisfaction. The world's most advanced fishing lines, ultra-sensitive prime and tough string from DuPont. Travel arrangements made through Eastern, the airline to call when you're planning a fishing trip off the coast of the Bahamas or the Caribbean. Come fly with Eastern.
One trip with old Orlando, and I'd be satisfied. I wanna go fishing with Orlando, he knows where they're at. I wanna ride around in his big old boat and wear my fishing hat. Take a little bit of that Red Man chew, off that fishing talk. If I could fish with Orlando, I might catch one for the walk. I think one day Orlando, you sold that 12.
Comfortably seated in a modern boat with bait casting equipment and the latest in cat catching lures. Blues and flatheads are the larger of the species, occasionally reaching 100 pounds or more. Catfish spend their lives near the bottom, moving up from their deep holes only in search of a meal. In warm weather, catfish usually feed at night, but as you'll soon see, with a proper bait, they can be coaxed into biting during the day. Catfish have an amazing tolerance for bunk and silt, using their well-developed sense of smell as much as their eyes to locate prey. Their favorite foods include insect larvae, minnows, worms, grasshoppers, and crawfish. In a moment, Orlando continues an old Southern tradition between father and son, passing along the techniques of catfishing on a hot, lazy summer afternoon.
Son, what we're going to do, we're going to start with this cat catcher, and I'm going to give you the original formula. And I'm going to insert it right in this little crawdad-looking bait, and I'm going to squeeze. And what we're doing, didn't we?
Fishing with Orlando Wilson is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, America's best-selling line of trucks. When you need a truck you can lean on, nothing works like a Chevy truck. Zebco Quantum Motor Guide, the choice of serious fishermen. Red Man Chewing Tobacco. The Red Man reaction is satisfaction. The world's most advanced fishing lines, ultra-sensitive prime and tough string from DuPont.
Gene, we've taken this little artificial lure that has slits made in it, and we're putting this paste that's made by a little stinker called cat catcher. We're inserting the paste inside the lure. Now, when a catfish bite this lure, it's soft plastic. And this paste, which tastes like food that they feed on, squeezes out and they taste it and they go ahead and take the bait and swim off with it. When they do, the hook is made into the lure. You can see it here, and it's made weedless. So when they clamp down on it and you pull, of course, you set the hook in their mouth. And hopefully we're going to catch a lot of them.
Okay.
Now, you start with that original formula with the brown crawdad.
Orlando and his son Gene are fishing a South Georgia farm pond, much like any of the millions of farm ponds across the country. Today, they're fishing for one of America's most popular table fish, catfish. There are three main species of catfish: channel cat, blue cat, and flathead, sometimes called mud or yellow cat. They can be found in most freshwater systems east of the Rockies and from Canada to Central America. But catfishing is the great southern sport and pastime. And it can only be properly done in a leisurely fashion, whether from the banks of a slow-moving stream with cane pole and a bucket of worms, or as Orlando and Gene are doing.